At one time, the US dollar was just another currency. It wasn't always powerful. It wasn't always trusted. And yet today, it dominates the global financial system. But history didn't simply hand this power to the dollar. It was built through wars, agreements, economic strategy, and global trust. And now, for the first time in decades, that dominance is slowly being questioned. To understand how the dollar took over the world, we have to go back to a time when no global currency existed at all. Before World War II, the idea of a single global currency didn't exist. Countries relied on gold, silver, and their own national banknotes. Trade was complicated. Exchange rates fluctuated wildly. Economic crises spread quickly across borders. For a long time, the British pound was the dominant currency in global trade. The British Empire controlled vast territories, and its financial system was trusted worldwide. But two world wars changed everything. They drained Europe's economies and shifted financial power toward the United States. By the end of World War II, the global economy was in ruins. Countries needed stability. They needed a system that could prevent another financial collapse. So world leaders gathered to design a new global order. In 1944, representatives from 44 nations met in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. Their goal was simple but ambitious: rebuild the global economy and prevent future crises. At this conference, a new financial system was created. Instead of relying directly on gold, countries agreed to link their currencies to the US dollar. And the US dollar itself would be backed by gold at a fixed rate of $35 per ounce. This made the dollar the center of the global financial system. Two powerful institutions were also created: the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. These organizations were designed to stabilize economies, support development, and maintain financial order. The United States held most of the world's gold reserves at the time. Its economy was strong, and its infrastructure was intact after the war, so trusting the dollar made sense. Over the next 2 decades, the dollar became the world's primary reserve currency. Countries held dollars in their central banks. International trade was settled in dollars. Global finance began revolving around the US economy. But this system had a weakness. By the 1960s, the United States was spending heavily on military operations and social programs. More dollars were being printed than there was gold to back them. Foreign governments noticed. They began exchanging their dollars for gold. US gold reserves started shrinking rapidly. If everyone demanded gold at once, the system would collapse. So, in 1971, President Richard Nixon made a historic decision. He ended the dollar's convertibility into gold. This moment became known as the Nixon shock. The Bretton Woods system effectively ended overnight. The dollar was no longer backed by gold. It became a fiat currency, a currency backed only by trust and government stability. Many expected the dollar to lose power after this. But the opposite happened. Even without gold backing, the dollar remained at the center of global finance. First, the United States had the largest economy in the world. Its markets were stable, liquid, and highly developed. Second, US Treasury bonds became the safest investment globally. Countries needed dollars to buy them. Third, oil began being priced in US dollars. Major oil-producing nations agreed to sell oil in dollars, creating constant global demand for the currency. This system became known as the Petrodollar system. If a country wanted to buy oil, it needed US dollars. That meant central banks around the world held large reserves of dollars. Over time, this reinforced the dollar's dominance. Even as Europe and Asia rebuilt their economies, none could fully replace the dollar. It became deeply embedded in global trade, banking, and finance. Today, the US dollar still dominates the global financial system. It is used in the majority of international transactions. Most global reserves are still held in dollars, and global markets still rely heavily on US financial stability. But the world is changing. The dollar's share of global reserves has been slowly declining. Countries are diversifying into other currencies, including the euro and the Chinese yuan. Some nations are exploring digital currencies. Others are seeking alternatives to reduce dependence on the dollar. Geopolitical tensions, sanctions, and shifting alliances are also influencing global finance. For the first time in decades, serious discussions are happening about a world where the dollar is less dominant. Still, replacing the dollar is not easy. No other currency currently has the same level of trust, liquidity, and global acceptance. So while its dominance may weaken, the dollar remains the backbone of global finance, at least for now. The story of the US dollar is not just about money. It's about power, trust, and global influence. From the ruins of World War II to the modern digital economy, the dollar has shaped the world in ways few currencies ever have. But history shows that no financial system lasts forever, and the future of the dollar will depend on how the global economy evolves in the years ahead. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden history behind global finance and economic power, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next video.